Hey everybody, how's it going? So apparently ThinkPads have an issue with some of the newer machines where the Thunderbolt controllers stop working. You'll see that your Thunderbolt port may not work properly, eventually it dies entirely, and then you go up to the USB-C section in your device manager or Thunderbolt section, and it doesn't even show up anymore in device manager. Apparently what's happening here is that the firmware on the SPI ROM chip is set up in such a way that it continues to write to this chip and it eventually degrades it to the point where it doesn't work anymore. The silver lining here is that it's not this 96 ball or 200 or 400 BGA chip with a bunch of solder balls that dies. It's an SPI ROM chip, which is much simpler to replace if you don't have a lot of soldering experience. The downside is that even though Lenovo released a firmware update to this, that firmware update only works if your chip is not too far degraded. So if your chip is not too far degraded, the firmware update will ensure that it doesn't keep killing the chip. But if your SPI ROM chip is killed, this firmware update will do nothing for you. You need to replace the chip. Now, I understand when people say that a lot of PCs are cheap shit, and how can you expect a company to stand behind their product when you paid $300 for a computer? I get that. There's a reason that I hold Apple to a higher standard than I hold a cheap-ass Acer or Toshiba to. Because when you buy a $299 Acer or Toshiba at Best Buy and it sucks, you got what you paid for. When you buy a $3,000 MacBook and it sends 52 volts to the CPU, or the keyboard stops working, or the FlexGate cable thing starts degrading because you had the audacity to open and close your machine, that's bullshit. $300, it's BS, but you pay $300. At $3,000, that's disgusting. I get that argument, but if you take a look, this is affecting their high-end machine, the business machines, the P53S, the ThinkPad X1 Carbon, the real ones, not the Yoga rubbish, the P52 and the P72, the machines that are the workhorse powerhouse business machines that they're selling to business users, that are sold as being durable, that are sold as being liquid resistant, that are sold as having a very durable casing. These are the ones that are sold at a premium price that are dying. So I do expect them to treat people decently when they have these types of design flaws. It's not that the machine died because you opened and closed the screen too much. It's not that the keyboard wore out because you typed on it for 2 years or 3 years a lot. The chip killed itself because it's programmed to kill itself from the factory. That's lame. That's a design flaw. And when you sell a premium product based on durability to business users, I think you should cover them when they have that problem. And it appears that that's not what's happening. If you read some of these posts on Reddit, you'll see that people are spending, lots of money on these machines, and you're getting the middle finger from Lenovo on it. And I think that's really lame. Now, when it comes to Apple, they do have a lot of design flaws that are admittedly worse. This is not 52 volts to your CPU. This is not a FlexGate thing where because you open and close the casing, your screen doesn't work anymore. This is not your keyboard dying out of nowhere. You're still able to use the computer. So there is that silver lining there. But the Thunderbolt USB-C port, this is important. With all the hearings that I go around the country recording, I record these using a USB to HDMI capture device. That USB to HDMI capture device has been screwing with me lately, so I thought about getting a Thunderbolt one. If you touch the camera or the USB-C device when you have static electricity, it will freeze it, and you'll have to deactivate and reactivate it. It's really lame, and something I think Magewell should fix. But it's something I thought about getting a USB-C device. What if I got a USB-C device and I wasn't able to capture a lobbyist lying to a senator on camera because of this glitch? That means that I just lost all of my video. The whole reason that I pay a premium for a ThinkPad is because I'm conking this thing around from airport to airport, getting banged around by the TSA, banged around in my bag. I show up, I set the thing down, it's live streaming and encoding 1080p 60 high bitrate video for hours on end, and I need that thing to work everywhere I take it. And that's what my P50 has done for me. It works at a mission critical standard everywhere I take it. I can just trust it. Unlike Apple, it just works. But what if I bought one of these? What, now you sold me a machine where I'm going to miss that? It's not as bad as the machine totally dying, but it still sucks in a manner that could really screw me if I were one of the owners of these machines. So I think it would make sense if they put together some sort of repair program, even if it's a discounted one. Don't go full Apple and tell people just replacing the board, even though it's our problem, at a ridiculous price. This is not a large BGA chip. This is going to be something that's fairly simple to replace. You're going to be able to have some. Not saying that opening a ThinkPad is easy. It's a pain in the ass because of the roll cage and all the other stuff they have in there, but it is a low-skilled job. Have somebody open up the machine, have someone who makes a few bucks over minimum wage, take the chip off, put another one on, in your warehouse, set up a couple of benches, and just have people conk these things out at 59 or 79 bucks a repair. Your customers will be pissed because it's not free, but they won't be as insanely angry as they will be if you tell them that it's going to be an entire board replacement. You're going to have some pissed off customers, but they're not going to be pissed off enough that they leave the brand entirely and become a brand evangelist that tells everybody to avoid you, which I believe will happen if you tell this to a bunch of business customers. If you go full Apple on your customers, expect that they migrate to other companies like the Dell Precision line when it comes time to buy a new fleet of machines for their business users. This is something that I think really can be addressed by just having a bunch of benches and a bunch of people that are, again, not the highest skilled, but not the lowest skilled either. Open up the machine, swap out this one chip, put it back in the field, and you're good. This is not open-ended troubleshooting where any one of several thousands of components could be why PM Sleep S4L is missing. This is not liquid damage repair where you have to worry that there could be corrosion hiding where you can't see and that it could be a potential that when you send it back to the customer, there's still a problem if someone wasn't thorough enough. This is easy, brain-dead work. Confirm that there's an issue with the Thunderbolt chip. Then after that's done, replace this little SPI ROM chip. You don't need someone to even do much thinking. This is brain-dead work. And you may even be able to get Intel to give you some sort of rebate towards new purchases because Intel is responsible for this firmware that is causing this issue to begin with. So I do sympathize with Lenovo here. It's not like they personally wrote this firmware. This is Intel's problem that now Lenovo has to deal with. So maybe they could say something along the lines of, in order for us to maintain our brand reputation because of your screwed up firmware, we need to provide these repairs to customers. Can we get a rebate on the next, $100 million worth of CPUs that we're buying from you or something like that? There are many ways that they could structure this so that it sucks less for the consumer and is cost effective to them to provide. I think that they should consider doing this for their customers. I've talked about how good I think these machines are put together in the past. I've talked about how durable they are and how good the Lenovo support program is. And I like the fact that they have a track point. I like the interface. I like the durability of them. But I can't reasonably continue to suggest people buy these machines as I did just before reading this article earlier today when making fun of my girlfriend's piece of crap MacBook that stops working for no reason. If your machines are going to stop working for no reason, and then you're not going to support the customer just because they're on day 366 of ownership. That's lame. That's what I expect from Apple products. That's not what I expect from you. I don't really mind criticizing Lenovo when they get things wrong. People have said in the past that I never criticize them. They apparently haven't seen what I had to say about the retro ThinkPad or the 2014 models where they destroy the trackpad. One of the reasons that I'm fairly certain they're never going to sponsor this channel or ever send me review samples of any of their new products is because of what I said on the T440 series as well as the retro series. But for the most part, I've had a lot of good stuff to say about Lenovo and their repair programs, how they handle their repair programs, how durable the devices are. But you can't do this to people. You can't do this to people and expect that people like me are going to continue to sing your praises, suggest that every single day, when in my 18,000 comments I get a day on YouTube, when 5% of those are if I'm not an Apple, what laptop should I buy, Lewis? That I'm going to keep typing ThinkPad in the box if this is the type of Apple-esque shit that you're pulling. Please, Lenovo, please undo this. Do better by the customers that had this problem. So when people ask me, what laptop should I get? I can still keep saying a ThinkPad P series or T series. Because if this is how you're going to treat your customers, then fuck it. In my opinion, you're just on that slippery slope to eventually becoming Apple, and there's no way in hell I'm recommending these products to people anymore. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this really, really bad? Is this not that bad because it is a non-essential function like USB-C? Your USB ports still work and the machine tool turns on? Or is it something that, what do you think of my take on all of this? And what do you think of the customers that are getting these responses from Lenovo after experiencing this design flaw? That's it for today, and I'll see you in another video.